This cost me $3,000 and it never made me a single dollar. So I was collecting certifications for almost about 2 years, and I thought that that was the thing that was standing in my way from making a really good salary. And every single one of them, it taught me information, but it didn't teach me how to actually do the job. It didn't teach me the application aspect of it. Okay. And so in this video, I'm going to show you 7 things that actually moved me from I was making $21 an hour as an IT technician all the way to $489,000 a year as a cloud engineer, job stacking ethically and legally. And number 4 is the most important one. It's the one that no one has the stomach for. So let's get into it. Number 1 is you want to focus on leverage, not hours. Okay. Leverage is knowing how to make more money and work less. So I was an IT technician. Like I said, I was making $21 an hour, and I was working around like 9 to 10 hours a day. And I had a long commute, and it was just insane. I was literally working almost average 9 to 10 hours a day. Okay. And what was crazy is that I was working hard and I was getting paid less compared to my cloud engineer role. My cloud engineer roles, right? I was making $489,000 a year, which is $25,000 a month after tax. And I was not working 8 hours. I was not working 6 hours on average. I was working a lot less. Okay. And so the point I'm trying to make is I'm the same person, but I had a different skill set. And that skill set that I had allowed me to create leverage. Leverage, once again, is knowing how to make more money and work less. Okay. Number 2, you need to learn a high income skill, not another certification. Okay. Not this right here. Okay. This is not going to, let me put it like this. For me and for my students, they got certifications. I have people that it's currently in my students, that is my students. They have 8, 10 certifications and they're still stuck, right? They're at that 6-figure range, right? 130, 140, but they're like, hey, I'm thinking I need to go get these certifications to get to that 300K range, 400K range. And they stack certifications like Pokemon cards. And they realize that, hey, this is not allowing me to increase my income. Certifications are a waste of time if you want to scale your income. One of my students, his name is Stormi. Okay. If you go to my testimonials on my YouTube page, you'll find somebody named Stormi. But Stormi is currently making $354,000 a year, and he has a high school diploma and 0 certifications. How is that possible? The industry is telling you to go get certifications. I fell for it. I got my degree. I got my certifications, and I was still stuck at $21 an hour. It wasn't until I learned that you need a high income skill. And a high income skill is you learning a skill set, you having the ability to solve a company's problem that's very painful. And they will pay you top dollars because you know how to solve their problem. For example, Facebook, Instagram, where I forgot which year, I think it was 2022 or 2023, they had an outage. I think for about like 45, 48 minutes, they lost multiple millions of dollars. A cloud engineer, right? DevOps engineer, right? We can actually come into that space and prevent them for having different outages, having reliability, having different, applications, their applications on AWS. And, depending on specifically what the problem was, okay, they had a problem, they had an outage. They didn't have reliability set up on their infrastructure. Okay. That's one of the jobs as a cloud engineer. So we help companies, that's just one example, but we help companies save a lot of money due to outage, right? And so a high income skill set is you having the ability, a skill set to solve a company's problem that they will pay you top dollars for it. collecting certifications, knowing, right, the CIA triad and Security Plus, knowing like that's the information is good, right? That's the, these are things that to be aware of, but you still need that application piece to it. How are you able to build a cloud migration project from A to Z? How are you able to identify problems that a company has in their current infrastructure? How are you able to save them money, right? Based on the solutions that they have in AWS, so it's just a way to say like, hey, you need to learn a skill set, a high income skill set that solves companies' problem. If you're able to make them a lot more money, right? And they have more resources, they will compensate you for that. Number 3, you want to build projects that solves companies' problems. This is something I was just talking about in terms of cloud migration. If you search up AWS cloud migration, if you search up AWS cloud engineer, cloud migration, remote jobs, you will literally see a lot of jobs that they need cloud engineers. They need people that know how to do a cloud migration project, okay, from A to Z. And think about it like this. You have, when you want to take pictures, let's say you're a photographer, you have to know about ISO, you have to know about the aperture, shutter speed, right? You learn the information. You learn EC2, you learn application load balancer, Terraform to automatically deploy that infrastructure, right? You learn about these tools, you learn about the concept. And then, right, when you have a photo shoot, you have to go out there and still take the pictures. You have to go out there, you have to go in there into their infrastructure and build it. And so I'm really against certifications because, it's really just going to teach you information. A lot of people have issues translating information to application. And not just any applications, solutions that companies need in today's market. Okay. And so once again, you want to be able to learn the correct projects, not just any project. There's a bunch of projects online. But what are the projects that you should be learning and doing that's in today's market? Meaning companies need people that have these solutions. Number 4, we market ourselves so recruiters can come to us. What do I mean by this? Okay. So for cloud engineers, okay, for especially cloud engineers who's doing $300,000, $500,000 a year, my students, okay, we learn how to brand ourselves. We learn how to put ourselves out there in the market as the solution. For example, if you search up AWS Cloud Engineer, remote jobs, cloud migration, you'll see a bunch of jobs that's in demand for cloud migration. We're going to go ahead and make different posts about cloud migration projects, like different pieces, okay? Like here's my, highly available, cost-effective, secured architecture, right? My diagram. And this is why I chose this. Right. This is why I chose this solution instead of this, because this is still going to get the job done, but it's more cost effective as opposed to solution number 1. OK, and so like we're posting our thoughts. We're posting what we've accomplished, what we put out there on LinkedIn or on different platforms. So now when recruiters are searching for people like us, they're able to clearly see that we are the solution to their problem. That's just one example. There's different things that we do to brand ourselves. But the whole point I'm trying to make is number 4, right? We learn how to market ourselves. We learn how to brand ourselves. Okay. Now, number 5, we learn how to communicate the solution in the room. We learn how to communicate the solution in the room. Okay. Now, what do I mean by this? Okay. Hiring managers only care about 2 different things. Can you solve the problem and do we like you? And you need to be able to communicate that you can solve their pain point, you can solve their problem, and you need to show your personality that you're compatible and that you can work well within the team. And so the same way how I'm talking to the camera right now and communicating, right? I can, for example, I'm going to communicate my cloud migration project, just a teaser. Yes, at my last company at the 1% University, it was my responsibility to design a highly available, cost-effective, secured architecture, and it was my role to actually create my Terraform file. I started with my main.tf, and I had my EC2s, my application load balancer, to distribute the traffic. I had my VPC, right, that had the public and private subnet. On the front end application, we put that inside the public subnet so it can be public facing to the internet. And then the database, which was MySQL, right? We put that on the private subnet. So you see how I'm like communicating like my process on what I did for the cloud migration project. Communication is important. We know how to communicate effectively. You can be the best engineer, but if you don't know how to communicate your value, it doesn't matter. Okay. So this number 6, right? We use AI instead of being afraid of it. We use AI instead of being afraid of it. So what do I mean? Now, when I was working my job, so if you don't know, I retired my 9-to-5 August 8th, 2025. And before I retired, I was using AI to get the job done faster with minimum effort. I was having a multiplied output with minimum input. So, for example, I needed to create a solution using Terraform, right? To have an SMS alert if there was a certain metric, right, that was to exceed, right? So 70% CPU utilization on certain EC2s. It was going to send emails and SMS messages to specific users, right? And so I got the specs and the requirements, and I used AI to create the Terraform solution in literally like 2 to 5 minutes. Okay, it would have took me a long time, a lot longer than 2 to 5 minutes, but I was able to create that solution a lot faster. And what does that mean for me? That means that I'm so much more valuable than someone who's going to take 2 weeks to a month to create that solution, and I just created it in 2 to 5 minutes. Okay. And so, the top cloud engineers that's making a lot of money, we learn how to use AI and not be afraid of it because it makes us more valuable, right? And that allows us to actually get multiple contracts and we can deliver the solution. And that's what we're paid for. We're paid for, delivering the solution, right? We don't get paid by, hours, right? There's deliverables that we need to complete. Okay. Depending on the contract. Okay. And so number seven is going to be standards, not goals. Standards, not goals. And this is something that I teach inside my program. Now, as a 1%er, right, our goal is not $500,000 a year. Our goal, right, sorry, not our goal, our baseline minimum is $500,000 a year. What do I mean? A lot of low class, like poor people, middle class people, right? They have like let's just say this is their goal, right? Let's just say this is 100K, right? Wealthy people, their standard is 500K. I'm trying to talk while doing this mic thing. Let me actually put this here. So their standard, they're poor people, middle class, 100K. My students, 1%ers, their standard is 500K. You're always going to rise to the level of the standards that you have. For example, I'm pretty sure everybody watching this video, your standard is to brush your teeth at least once a day, hopefully, right? But let's just say you want to have a goal to brush your teeth 3 times a day and you don't have that habit yet, right? Because as informed, you're always, and let's just say you make some mistakes, you're not consistent, you're at least going to revert back to your habit and your standard switches once a day. And so the first thing that I teach my students is having high standards, the mindset. The minimum amount that you will ever make is $500,000 a year. You need mindset, which is what I just said, and then the skill set, the step-by-step process of actually getting an AWS Cloud Engineer skill set, projects experience, and knowing how to brand yourself and knowing how to sell yourself on interviews. This is exactly what Christopher did. He joined the program January 3rd or 5th, and in 6 months, he was able to generate $1.1 million in offer letters. Right? It doesn't mean that he's making that because he can't accept all those offers. Some of it is a conflict of interest, but he's at that $600,000 mark. His goal is to make $1 million. It's the same system Isaac used, right, to go from 0 to $1.5 million in offer letters. Once again, he's not making $1.5 million, but he has a skill set to consistently get offer letters. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. And this stuff is not rocket science. You just need to actually learn the high income skill that creates leverage, which is making more money and working less. And if you're interested on seeing if me and my team can work with you to see how to actually learn this skill set step by step, go ahead and click the first link in the description below, and I'll see you in the next video.